Hello, hello. How are you? Let me know if you can hear me. My audio, I didn't see come on. So I just wanted to check, but wanted to come on real quick and say hi. Hope the meal planning is going well this week. And I just encourage you guys to take advantage of this, especially right before the holiday. It's just a great opportunity to focus in on things that you can control to set yourself up for busy weeks. So I was just having a conversation with a nutrition client about fiber and produce. And this time of year, it can be harder to incorporate fruits and veggies. And what I was encouraging her to think about is eating more in season. And as the colder weather comes, we don't often want, if you really think about what you are wanting and preferences, we want a lot of warmer foods if you live in an area that's cold in November and December. We want a lot of like warm, cozy, nourishing foods. And oftentimes we put ourselves in a box that fruits and vegetables have to be raw, right? And that's the only way that they matter. And that's what their best form is. Let me know if that's something that you felt, which is not true. Frozen veggies are great, fresh are great. But what you're probably gravitating more towards right now is something that is warm and cooked and in combination with other things. So what do I mean by this? For example, I did pull up some things that are in season, but just a general rule of thumb is that when you go to the grocery store, what is best quality? Like when you look at something, you're like, wow, this looks really good. And the best prices are typically what is in season because it's most available and the quality is the best. So it's a win-win because our bodies are wanting more of those foods and it's what's available at a better price. But even with things like apples and pears, like those are some fruits that are still in season right now, but doing something that's more of like a baked dish. So if you're doing like a baked oatmeal and doing some cut of apple in there, so it's soft and warmer, that's an example, or pear. Something I love to do in the winter is buying more frozen berries. And then I'll add the frozen berries into my oatmeal and they'll melt and get warm. And it makes it more of like a warmer fruit. And things like cranberries, right, are in season right now. Cranberry sauce, cranberry jams, those kind of things are using fruits in a different form than just their fresh option. So a lot of times in the warmer months, we want those like high water content foods, or they're also known as non-starchy vegetables and non-starchy vegetables, which don't have as much starch content. They have a higher water content. So they are a little bit less calories, but we're not always wanting like salads and cucumber and tomato and bell pepper, like all those raw things necessarily. If you do, I mean, that's totally fine, but they probably aren't going to taste as good right now. Like tomatoes this time of year don't taste good. So eating in season will naturally help you to enjoy these foods better because they taste better, they're sweeter, they're better quality, and it helps with planning. So another thing that can be helpful, like frozen veggies, use frozen veggies if you're having a harder time finding things that look good in the grocery store. And I noticed that recently when I was there. I'm like, there's not as many fresh veggies that are looking good right now. It's mostly going to be things like winter squashes, root vegetables. So sweet potato, butternut squash, delicata squash, acorn squash, potatoes, sweet potatoes, those kind of things. And roasting those veggies and making those warm are great in soup. So making those into soup options. I just pulled up some things that were also in season. So like winter squash soup, pumpkin soup, kale roasted butternut squash in like a saute together, poached pears. So what other things did I miss that are in season? Pomegranates are a type of fruit, the little kernels of pomegranates, and you can add that to on top of cereal or with granola and yogurt, are some ways to use that. Brussels sprouts, those are often in season right now, and roasting those can be nice. parsnips, turnips, beets, kale, and chards. There's more of those hearty greens. And with kale, sauteing that and adding that to other, adding that with egg muffin cups. So I just put a recipe together with kale in little egg muffins. So you're cooking that veggie or spinach. I'm doing a lot of spinach right now for more of a green versus something like romaine or iceberg that sometimes I'm wanting in those warmer months that's crunchy. So as you're going through and doing your inventory this week as part of our tips and suggestions to get you planning better, use things that are in the freezer, things that are in your pantry, and using them in different ways, maybe than you thought of, like, oh, I can only use this vegetable like as a side. Can you incorporate it into a meal? So for example, peas. Peas are not just something that you can eat by themselves, and they are better often with like a nice pasta dish and a little Parmesan, saute some spinach in there, a protein source. So how can you incorporate that food into more of a balanced meal so you're more satisfied from that, but you're also using things that maybe you already have, in your kitchen? So that's what I would really encourage you to do. If you have time today, or what that looks like, go through what you have. Maybe you have a freezer of stuff that you just haven't even looked at. And another thing that would be nice is freezing soups and stews that you make now for later in the week, or if you're traveling, when you get home, being able to thaw some kind of a chili or a soup or beef stew or something like that can be really nice to have as an option in the freezer. So let me know if you have questions about that, if that was helpful. I love what Jody did with adding the spinach and cheese with the eggs and peppers, into the egg bake. That was really nice. So that's a great example of using some veggies and protein and baking that warm. A lot of time we want that like grounding, warm feeling from our meals this time of year. So surrender to that, but try to make it more nutrient dense. So there's more fiber and there's more variety of things that you're having. Another thing that we were talking about is just looking at where's my color in this meal that I'm having. So a lot of times for breakfast, it's either like a veggie or a fruit. So if you're doing eggs, maybe more of a veggie. If you're doing something sweeter like oatmeal or a pancake or something, adding a fruit with that. At lunch, usually a veggie is easier to incorporate. Something leftover that's cooked or roasted, leftover soup or stew, and then dinner, veggie. And then if you're doing a snack, try to do a fruit maybe at your snack. That's another good way to just break down the day and how you can incorporate some of that produce into your day. And right now, I think I had a fresh apple yesterday, and that tasted good and it was fresh. So there's no right way. That's why I don't love having like a list of, okay, these are the fruits that you should be eating and these are the fruits you shouldn't be eating. It's more about just they all have benefits, and eating a variety of produce is only going to add value to your body and how you feel. So it's all meaningful, all meaningful. Okay. So I just want to jump on and say hi before I jumped into the rest of my day. And if you have any questions about that or things that you're loving right now that's in season, post that in the comment section. I hope you're having a great day so far. I'll talk to you soon.